It's easy to think this is just another race weekend, another round on the calendar. But I'm telling you right now, what's happening inside Ferrari is massive. And nobody's really talking about it the way they should. Because behind those garage doors, it's not just about updates. It's about survival. This weekend in Austria could be the turning point that decides whether Ferrari fights back or collapses completely. You see, this isn't just a new floor. It's not just another spec part going on the car. It's a desperate move, a cry for help wrapped in carbon fiber. The team that promised Lewis Hamilton a car capable of fighting for wins and maybe even the title is now scrambling to rewrite its entire concept mid-season, just to avoid total failure. What they're calling a subtle change is actually the team quietly admitting that the SF25, their 2025 challenger, was born with the wrong philosophy. That's not speculation. Ferrari's engineers are reworking the core of the car while the season is still happening. That never happens unless things are really bad. And the signs are everywhere. Hamilton, who's been silent for months, is starting to show the cracks in that calm exterior. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's golden boy, gave up an entire practice session to let a rookie do the testing. That wasn't generosity. That was fatigue. That was a message. It's not just about speed anymore. It's about trying not to break what's already falling apart. So the big question that's hanging over the paddock like a storm cloud is this. Will this change save Ferrari's season? Or will it just expose how deep the cracks really go? Because this isn't about a floor upgrade. It's a full-blown referendum. Technical, political, emotional on Ferrari's future. For the first time all year, Ferrari stopped hiding behind graphs and buzzwords. They didn't exactly admit it, but by rolling out a new floor with an entirely different approach, they essentially said it. The SF25 is fundamentally flawed. And this new floor? It's not just a tweak. It's a white flag and a final charge. At the same time, from the very first race, engineers Diego Tondi and Loic Serra have been stuck with an impossible task. How do you turn an unstable or untrustworthy car into something that can win races without throwing everything away and starting over? The answer, it turns out, came quietly, far from the media. The previous floor wasn't just slow, it was undermining the car's entire system. No traction in slow corners, too much stiffness forcing extreme ride height compromises, and all of that was destroying the aerodynamic balance. In Imola, Hamilton dropped a hint. In Montreal, he couldn't hold it in anymore. It's like wrestling a shadow, he said. The car wasn't reacting, wasn't cooperating, wasn't making sense. And now Ferrari's had enough. They've changed the narrative and bet everything on a new floor that represents a completely different philosophy. The problem? They haven't raced it yet. Not in real conditions, not under real pressure. And if it fails, it's not just lap time on the line. It's the trust of two drivers who've already spent too long waiting for promises to come true. This so-called subtle change hides a mountain of tension behind the scenes. This isn't about finding tenths, it's about stopping the bleeding of seconds. It's about preventing the car from falling apart in certain corners. Because it already has, multiple times. And they chose Austria, Spielberg, a track famous for punishing imbalance. That's where they're going to test the heart of this new concept. The focus is on two key areas, aerodynamic balance and mechanical response. The old floor created zones of instability, especially in medium-speed corners, forcing drivers to rely on instinct instead of confidence. At high speed, that's a recipe for disaster. This new version, it's designed to calm everything down. Smooth airflow, eliminate lateral wobbles, give the driver back a sense of control. Even the edges of the floor have been redesigned. Sounds like a small detail, but that's where the secret to straight-line stability and hard braking lies. From the outside, it might look like just another technical update, but inside the team, they know it's a last-ditch effort disguised as progress. And the first person to test it? Not Hamilton, not Leclerc, Dino Beganovic, a rookie. To most people, just a procedural move. But to those watching closely, it was a message. Ferrari didn't want to risk their stars just yet. Letting a rookie go out before the main drivers is never just about logistics. When Leclerc gives up FP1, it's not kindness, it's strategy. Because if this new floor flops straight out of the gate, the emotional impact on Leclerc and Hamilton could be devastating. And Ferrari knows it. The performance problem now has a psychological twin. This is as much about shielding the drivers from early disappointment as it is about data. There's a quiet tension in Maranello. The bosses are talking about refining the performance window, but in the hallways, the conversations are completely different. Heated debates, conceptual disagreements, aero versus mechanical grip, engineers working in isolation, ideas being dismissed, departments losing trust in each other. Loic Serra, brought in to steer the technical ship, is clashing with Ferrari's old-school ways. His bold solutions echo Red Bull's spirit, but that doesn't sit well with those still living by the old Ferrari rulebook. What started as a technical crisis has now become a political minefield. And in the middle of all of it, Hamilton watches. Leclerc stays quiet. Austria, in this context, isn't just race number 12. It's the moment where everything comes to a head. Because if this new floor doesn't work, really work, there's no more hiding. Not behind telemetry, not behind vague statements. The house of cards will fall. Maranello is no longer in course correction mode, it's survival mode. 11 races, no wins. A car that once looked promising now feels like a burden. And while Fred Vasseur tries to project calm with technical phrases, behind the scenes, more and more people are whispering the same thing. This wasn't just a setup issue. The whole architecture of the car is broken. One senior figure was overheard saying, "We're fighting ghosts," a direct reference to the SF25's structural failings. Hamilton, who earlier in the year spoke about adapting, now barely talks about performance. But his silence says more than a press conference ever could. In Montreal, after serious floor damage, the Brit reached his limit. Not because of the crash, but because of the car's chronic instability. The kind that makes you lose faith. And he made that clear inside the garage. Ferrari has been lost trying to patch a concept that never worked. This new floor, some engineers are calling it a reboot, not an adjustment, a reconstruction. And if it fails in Spielberg, there's no next chance in Silverstone. Hamilton knows that. That's why he's playing the long game. Because if the car breaks, if the concept breaks, he doesn't want to be in the blast radius. Leclerc, once the ever-smiling face of Ferrari, isn't hiding his frustration anymore. Giving up FP1 might look like a noble act, but those close to the team know. It was a message. Even he doesn't fully trust this update. It's like Ferrari is using the rookie as a shield to protect its stars from a potential disaster. Hamilton, meanwhile, is on a different mission now. It's not about adapting anymore. It's about protecting his legacy. He knows every lap in the SF25 could be the one that stains the end of his career. That's why he's not demanding changes over the radio. Not arguing over setups. He's watching. Waiting. Because if the car doesn't deliver now, the consequences won't just be technical. They'll be historical. This floor? It's not just carbon fiber. It carries the weight of a promise to two drivers who believed they'd be fighting for wins. And if it fails, it won't just bury Ferrari's 2025 season. It could crush the morale of the whole team. Austria will reveal everything. Whether this team still has the soul of a giant or if it's become a machine of empty promises. Because if the results don't come, it won't just be the car that breaks. It'll be trust between driver and team, between past and present. And Formula One doesn't forgive those who cling to the wrong idea for too long. What's at stake this weekend goes far beyond lap times or grid positions. Ferrari, with this new floor, isn't just trying to gain performance. They're trying to rebuild something far more fragile. Trust. Trust from engineers in their design. Trust from the drivers in their tools. Trust from fans in a team that once defined greatness. If this floor fails, there won't be any excuses left. The entire project will be under fire. And 2025 won't be remembered for a turnaround. It'll be remembered as the season Ferrari surrendered. So now I turn it to you. Do you think Ferrari can pull off the comeback with this new package? Do you still believe Hamilton can win a race this year? Let's see what the red team really has left.